Okay, so you found Simon's body in the cellar. So we have cellar. I want to ask about attic and parents. Parents. Dead parents? Parents. It's very difficult to remember all these things. I have to write them down, otherwise I just forget about it. Body. What else? What else? Police. I think that's about it for now. So let's see.
Mum and Dad had never had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah was eating a lot, they didn't mind. She didn't put on any weight. That girl has a healthy appetite. If they heard us talking in the attic, they just thought it was Hannah playing one of her games, and that Eve was our imaginary friend. Once, she was already up and dressed and ready to go to school, and I snuck down for a piss. Mum saw me in my underwear. She went mad. "Get dressed this instant!" So I ducked into our bedroom, and seconds later, out came Hannah, dressed and ready.
That's pretty cool. That's a nice trick. It's like, oh, how did you get dressed in seconds? You are amazing. Or maybe it was the twin girl that I kind of gave up on, that lives still in the same city. So let me get this straight. Your parents never noticed you going in their house so often? That's kind of strange. I would notice two versions of my daughter entering and leaving the house. All right.
The whole thing was wrong. The bags, I think they were from our kitchen. You can probably check that. We never go into the cellar. It's just a place we put things we don't need.
Like corpses.
Dad used to grow mushrooms there.
From the corpses.
The bags were taped up. I think it was parcel tape, but I think it was ours. Well, fine, considering. I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing your people have been there through my things. It's like I've been burgled. Only worse, obviously. I don't know. I haven't lived in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in, as good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out. And I'm still waiting to hear from the coroner so we can get a date set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So...
Yes, to hide all the evidence. Last one.
It happened very quickly.
The murder.
We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently.
That I should murder him.
The baby was what mattered.
Oh, the baby that was
We'd
murdered.
helped each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, That was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
Not sure if she's talking about the murder of Simon with the cellar or the miscarried baby. I think they're talking about the baby. Interesting. Let's ask her about the watch, because I'm not sure about which murder she's talking about.
He was wearing a shirt, a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans. He has a watch. It's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric. He had his coat, a long grey duffel coat, like Paddington Bear. He would have taken that with him. It's not in the house.
A bit more on what Simon was wearing, but I'm going to add alibi.
I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
And then Eve showed up to dance with us, and she made it awkward. Probably. She seems like to be fairly in love with Simon, so don't know why you murdered him, girl.
Yeah, that's Simon's watch. It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year. It was a wedding anniversary gift. Steel. It would have been Diane who chose it. She has really nice taste. That time, you must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
Okay, new terms. We have to ask her about Glasgow. Maybe Diane, although she's probably just a friend. I still want to ask them about the Ouija board. Oh, nothing. How the fuck do you spell Ouija? To Google! That's not how you spell it. Ah, there we go.
When beautiful people died, we always felt like it was a sign. You remember Princess Grace? Grace Kelly? She died in a car crash the year before we met Simon. We used a Ouija board to speak to her, and that gave us the power to find him. That's what we thought then. That people who died tragically leave some kind of magic behind. We used to share dreams. We used to wake up and write them down in our diaries immediately and compare them.
Don't know if these are gonna be relevant, but we might as well search for Grace Kelly and dreams. And remember here, there was the hack info, and it's Grace hack. So maybe it's a little reference I'm not really getting, but I don't think it's important. Anything left from this? Hannah pregnant, Carl and Ouija board. Diary, miscarriage, Sarah. Okay, I asked everything from here. Cellar. Was there anything more about the cellar where they found a body? No. Attic. Tell me more about when you lived in the attic.
Yes. I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back.
The house.
And Simon.
Okay. And
like going
Eve.
back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
Okay, so you and Simon moved into your parents' house, as far as I understand.
Yes. I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we had, we still have in the attic. It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play out there and make up our own stories.
Still confused about how your or her parents didn't notice that there were two girls up in the attic most of the time. I mean, you would have gone up and at least check on her, like every hour. Or, hey, you want to get some dinner? Hey, who's your friend that looks exactly like you? Oh shit, it's my daughter. Other one.
Could the hairs have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they... We have a lot of dolls in the attic. There's a Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there?
Ooh, hairs. So there were some hairs on the body, and I'm imagining blonde hairs? Hairs and blonde hair. Anything else? No, nothing new. Going on to the parent. Parent.
I got pregnant.
We know.
Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married.
That's what you did in the ye old days, I guess. I wonder if I search parents, if I'll get anything different. No. Okay. Dead parents. Died. Or dies. What about died? Died.
No cat. My parents had a cat before they died called Domino. It was this little black thing with white dots. And we never did anything about the cat flap, but if you were thin, you could maybe squeeze through it.
Well, you mentioned that you kind of lost some weight and you were skinny. Maybe you could fit through the cat flap. Domino. Maybe the cat did it. Domino.
1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful. Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. A forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful.
But how did they die? I mean, they died together in the bed? Did someone poison them? What should I use? What keywords should I use to discover what happened to her parents? Death. Just death.
They said it was food poisoning. There was something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms, grow them too. They said it was the mushrooms. It was hard to believe. Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that. But, I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone. And no one had any reason to hurt them.
Except for my twin sister, who was abandoned by my parents. So she probably poisoned their food. Maybe. Let's see. Poison.
I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time.
So I decided to poison my
I was
parents.
depressed. Was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead. They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I slept through it. The police said it was mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. I mean, he used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognise them. And there's no way he would have picked death caps. But the police believe that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic.
Maybe they should have. They would have found some death caps. Who is this person that keeps appearing on my screen? But if they were throwing up for like a few hours, how did they die together in the bed? That seems way too peaceful a death. If you're severely poisoned and vomiting and basically convulsing in pain, you would have heard something. It's very suspicious, their death.
At the time they said it was poison, food poisoning. I mean, I felt so guilty. If I'd still been at home, maybe I could have done something. I didn't.
So you weren't at home, but your twin was, because she just slept in the attic, and she found the parents dead.
I got a job to contribute, you know. Doug knew someone and I got a job as a dinner lady at the primary school. They said it didn't matter if I could cook or not, just don't poison the kids.
Like your parents.
So you see, it's always been complicated between me and Simon. It's never just been the two of us. There's always been pressure.
I am going to add Doug to my list. Go down. Doug. Doug, Doug, Doug. Good old Doug. Who's Doug? Right, so I better start weeding these trails. Asked about the parents and how they died. Let's just talk about bodies. It's a nice subject.
The bruise. I have a really fast metabolism, so stuff like that just comes and goes. I don't know if there's much more that I can tell you that I haven't already told the other policemen. I found the body.
Ooh, you what? And what about that bruise? Better add it to my very long list. Bruise.
His body. It didn't look real. And his throat. It looked like his throat had been cut.
Murder. With a knife in the cellar.
And I didn't see his glasses. There's these thick glasses. It doesn't always wear.
Alright. So I'm gonna write down glasses because maybe we're gonna get an idea where they are. And a fair. Because I remember a fair, because he apparently slept with both of them. I wonder if he realized. Oh, she got a guitar now. That's nice. That's nice that police stations do that.
Really? Okay. Here's the rest. Oh, they laid a body on the doctor. Oh, the wind and the rain. Till a fiddler with a fiddle came walking by on a dreadful wind and rain. And he made a fiddle bow of her long hair. Oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, he made a fiddle bow of her long blonde hair. On a dreadful wind and rain. And he made fiddle pegs of her finger bows. Oh, the wind and the rain. Yes, he made fiddle pegs from her finger bows. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. reproducing may be used as evidence against you.
Maybe. Is this relevant to the story, or were they just having fun during the production of the game with a guitar? Like, oh, someone brought a guitar, might as well start doing stuff with it. Alright, darling, why don't you tell me a bit more about that bruise, because I didn't notice any bruise on your face.
Bruise? Oh, yeah, no, it's nothing. I was going through the top cupboard in my kitchen, and the chair slipped, and I kind of hit the door with my face. I mean, it hurt like hell.
Kinda hard to see, though.
If one of us got hurt, the other one would have to be hurt too. A grazed knee, a bruise. When I lost my tooth first, we had to pull our harness to match. Once, I slept with a boy who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. And she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days. She snuck a frozen piece up for me from the kitchen. So much of our bodies were synchronized anyway. We started our period on the same day. All our childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits.
So as far as I understand it, it was Hannah and Eve was never really recognized. I mean, she didn't exist, technically. No one knew she existed, not even legally. So that's interesting and fun and complicated to maintain that kind of lifestyle. How the fuck did you two as kids manage it?
Then will the police let me back in the house? And they let me take a bag of clothes with me, but...
Okay, so she had some clothes to change, I guess? I'm still thinking that I'm talking to the same person, but it's both twins. So where was each of you? Okay, we talked about alibis, I guess. Glasgow. What happened in Glasgow? I think you mentioned it at some point. Glasgow. Glasgow. I cannot type for shit today. Glasgow.
I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep.
Okay, tell me more.
Yes. I got to Glasgow, I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back.
Why were you going to Glasgow, exactly?
No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning.
I think the interviewer was asking if anyone saw you, but I don't really understand why she was there. Diane. Let's talk about Diane and then Doug, I think. Diane.
Not really. He would go to the pub. He had his drinking buddies there, but no one ever really came back to the house. Sometimes Eric, his boss, and his wife would come over for dinner. That would be us returning the favour. Diane is a really good cook, into her trendy ingredients. And the last time Simon cooked something off MasterChef, he got the recipe off Seedfax, and I did my Lloyd Grossman bit, commenting from the sidelines. I had to find fennel from the supermarket. Have you ever eaten fennel?
Fennel. Alright. I'm going to note down some more shit, like Eric, and Fennel. Eric Fennel. That's a decent name.
Diane is really nice. She helps out with the glaziers, organises the Christmas party, that sort of thing. They have 2 kids, really sweet kids. She used to look out for me when I worked there.
So Diane works at the same place as Simon did.
Eric was like an uncle to him. They were pretty close. They spend a lot of time with each other, especially when they have to go to conferences. Have you met his wife, Diane?
I hear she's lovely and she's a great cook. Let's talk about his boss. Eric, with a K or with a C? Maybe it's with a C. Eric.
Yes, there's a car that we share, a Cavalier, and a van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but we look after it. Both of them are there now, parked in the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look for you when I get back.
It's interesting that I can search for Eric with a C and with a K. I don't know if that's relevant.
Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so he usually pays with cash, but Eric convinced him to get one.
I wonder if there was a dispute over money.
If you put me on You've Been Framed, I want the money.
Oh, stop it, you. You murdering person, you are adorable.
No. Everyone loved Simon. He's a glazier, he doesn't have much money. I mean, I don't know.
I imagine the question was, do you know of anyone who would want to harm Simon? And she doesn't know because he's just a glazier.
Sure, I think. I do all the bills and paperwork and handle all the money stuff, so it should be easy for me to find. Do you want them dropped off to you?
Sure. Now would be fine. So it wasn't a money thing, as far as I can tell. Maybe the twins just, argued over Simon so much and who could have him, that one of them eventually, or both of them, decided to kill Simon. Maybe. Grace Kelly. It might be a long shot, but let's try it. Garce Kelly. Nope. Long shot. What else do I have on my list? Dreams. Oh yeah, they used to share dreams.
He saw me singing one of my shows. Pure chance. Not sure I remember what he was even doing there. Afterwards, I had a drink at the bar and he came over and we got talking. I knew who he was. Obviously I knew who he was. But he didn't know who I was. He was fascinated by the likeness. He guessed my name from my tattoo. Told me it was a palindrome, and that would impress me. I enjoyed talking to him. It was amazing to be able to sit and interact and talk to him after all this time. He didn't tell me he was married. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He later told me it was like he was dreaming. A waking dream.
Are there more bar sequences? Oh, there's a lot of bar sequences.
Are you sure? What would he be doing in Oxford if there was no conference? I remember calling him. He said it was boring and he spent most of the time at the bar.
So Simon was in Oxford or not. Add to session. I'll ask about that later.
So I moved out. Got a small bed sit. Got my tattoo to mark the occasion. I was singing in a bar in the evenings, so I had some money, enough money to cover my rent. And I've been doing something similar ever since. I haven't put down any roots. I don't exist.
So Eve was the one that didn't exist.
Nothing else happened that night. We talked, then I said goodbye. Then next week I was singing in the bar again, and there he was. And again the next week. He offered to buy me a meal. I told him I had already eaten, and so we got chips and ate them on the beach instead. When we said goodbye, he asked me to kiss him. Romantic. No. I told her it was one of my boyfriends, someone I had met in the bar. I think she was happy. But I could tell she was thinking, why couldn't it happen to her and Simon? They were the ones with the real life. Why not them?
What couldn't happen to them? Like having a baby or what? When she was pregnant? Maybe there's more to this baby story because both of them were pregnant.
We spent the wedding night in a hotel in Brighton. It would have been too much to do more. We were saving for the baby. It was wonderful to be in a hotel, away from home, just alone together. Since then, we've always tried to get away for our holiday.
Okay, that's boring.
Yes. It was a shock to him, and we never thought it was possible. I don't know what I hadn't decided whether to keep the baby. I wasn't really ready to talk to him about it.
So this was Eve who got pregnant by sleeping with Simon.
An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair.
Are you sure? So you didn't know he was having an affair. Were you the one with the tattoo?
An affair?
I can't see it though.
Simon wasn't having an affair.
Okay, and you're the one with the tattoo.
You're reaching here. And I don't know why. No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone. Simon's dead. But I have my baby to care.
So you had the baby.
Really sad.
You did have the baby.
Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs?
Crazy
You
look.
cheated on your wife. Is this your thing?
Okay, calm down, miss.
And what did your wife do? She didn't kill you. You think I killed Simon because he was having an affair? Well, I didn't kill him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me.
Okay, so that's why.
Why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
Something about the hairs that they found.
What kind of hairs?
Well, that was useless. Blonde. Oh, and another guitar time. That's lovely.
This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be anything. Have you looked at the cat flap?
I guess I should ask her about the cat flap?
You want me to play something?
Sure.
I'm not the world's greatest guitar player. Okay?
But you're a singer?
It's tuning.
No. It's A-okay.
How about a traditional ballad?
Go right ahead.
Feel strict. Sisters came walking by the sea. Oh, the wind and the rain. The eldest one pushed the other one in. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. So they both had a love for the captain's son. Oh, the wind and the rain, but he only cared for the youngest one. Oh, the dreadful wind. Oh, the eldest envied her sister fair. Oh, the wind and the rain, with a pretty little face and her long blonde hair. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. So she pushed her in and held her down. Oh, the wind and the rain watched her as she slowly drowned. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Oh, she floated up and she floated down. Oh, the wind and the rain floated till a ship came by. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Out comes the captain's son. Oh, the wind and the rain. Father dear, here swims and swan. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And then it gets really weird, so I think that's a good place to stop.
Oh, then it gets really weird.
This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but
It's time to ask the most important question of all. The cat flap.
no, they were shut. Most of the windows are really hard to open anyway. They're stifling in summer. They were painted over by my dad. Could have left a door open accidentally. Oh, there's a cat flap in the back door.
Tell me more about the cat. Domino. He's very suspicious.
We loved our cat, Domino. He had this little bell around his neck to stop him from killing birds in the garden. And we used to write each other notes and put them in the bell, and we could send them to each other. Mum found some of the notes once, and she thought I was just writing to myself because our handwriting was identical. And we had our own words for things, so she didn't quite understand them anyway.
Again, mother and father, how can you not get suspicious and just go to the... You must have gone to the attic at some point. Or you must have heard, like, two little girls arguing at the same time. It's like, hey, someone's up there with our daughter. This is not right. Who is Doug? I just noticed now that even though the database finds 7 entries, I only have limited access to 5, so there's more entries, but I can't see them for some reason. And I read a bit on the forums, and it's because I'm authenticated as a guest, but if you finish the game in some way, you can get access to all the entries. You get 15 videos that you can watch at one time instead of 5.
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them. I hoover, I dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day. Ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that.
Interesting. And how sneaky of her.
Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper, but he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly in the living room. Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. This time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
It's a pretty shoddy alibi. I mean, it's a very nicely rehearsed story.
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. It's more just...
Oh shit. I wonder if that was scripted in the story. If not, it's a pretty funny happening. I want to see all the entries though. Look at all the entries that I'm missing.